give you an update of what has been happening maybe over a year now between Dangote, Aliko Dangote, the Nigerian businessman, and the chairman of the refinery and the Dangote group, who has come out in what has become as a confrontational approach into the activities of the NMDPRA boss and the MD. Today, there is a new twist to that saga. The chairman of the Dangote group, Aliko Dangote, submitted a petition against the managing director of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the NMDPRA, Ahmed, to the Independent Corrupt Processes and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, accusing him of corruption, financial impropriety. In the petition submitted through his lawyer, Mr. Dangote demanded the arrest, investigation, and prosecution of Mr. Ahmed for allegedly living above his means as a public servant. Let me allow you to listen to how Mr. Dangote yesterday laid the allegations and leveled against the allegations against Mr. Ahmed Farouk. Take a listen to him.
Madam Farouk has 4 of his children that he educated in Switzerland at the cost of $5 million for their secondary school education alone, not university. And I know that one of them just finished Harvard. So I want to now see what kind of system are we operating, that people are now busy destroying a country, taking money from the government. Because when you look at his income does not match paying this kind of fees. I think even if it's me paying $5 million for 6 years for my 4 children, the taxman has to look at my taxes, how much I pay. And really, this sort of thing, we're not going to allow it to continue. We'll take it up to the highest authority so that they will look at it. People who have done something wrong must be prosecuted.
Now, all that on one hand, we'll be getting some perspectives to it, because this goes a long way in affecting what is going on. There are a lot of things that you may not even see on the surface, but this is what you can see and read on the headlines. But let me take you to faraway Delta State, away from Lagos, where Mr. Dangote made these allegations. But tension is rising, and perhaps for the first time in so many years that we are seeing tension in the Niger Delta region, which is now affecting oil production. In the Niger Delta, indigenes of Uborodo community in Warri, southwest local government area, have shut down the Chevron Nigeria Limited tank farm facility in protest over what they describe as long-standing neglect by the oil company. The community accused Chevron of excluding qualified indigenes from employment opportunities, failing to meet agreed local content quotas, and sidelining the host community in ongoing and upcoming operations, including turnaround maintenance activities. Residents also lament persistent power outages, blaming the failure of the Escravos Environs electrification project involving NGIC and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, a project they say has stalled for years. As operations at the facility remain disrupted, questions are being raised about how host community relations, local content compliance, and the broader implications for oil production and stability in the Niger Delta. We reached out to the federal government on this matter, and we got a confirmation that the federal government has since begun conversation and engagement with the aggrieved host communities with the hope of dousing the tension and restoring a possible disruption to production in that area. Let me allow you to listen to one of the agitators leading the protest in that community.
We are saying that enough is enough. If they have been doing, if the PIA has been in place, maybe you people will ask us questions that PIA is supposed to take care of that. But the PIA is not in place. And now they are even contravening the local content law that is in this nation that guarantees us some certain percentage of employment, empowerment from these IOCs. So we are saying that this has to stop. And until they come to us and discuss with us, let us tell them the way we have been telling them, and tell them now that presently is business unusual. We are not going to...
All right, that's agitation there. Well, let me bring in one man who is he's an expert in these areas and he's very knowledgeable. He's the former president of the Trade Union Congress and expert in oil and gas and energy. He's joining us live virtually from Lagos. Mr. Peter Esele, it's good to see you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program. So much to chew just in a few minutes that we have. But let me allow you first and foremost to deal with the Dangote, which is the big headlines making the rounds today. Mr. Esele, what exactly is going on in this big drama that we're seeing between Nigeria's billionaire and the richest man in Africa and the NMDPRA boss, Ahmed Farouk?
Thank you for having me. So when you see the richest man in Africa becoming an activist, then you know that something is definitely wrong. The first thing you need to look at is that Dangote's refinery or Alhaji Dangote feel threatened that his business model or his refinery is being attacked by NMDPRA with the way licenses are being issued. Now, what we need to ask ourselves is, the Dangote refinery, why is it here? I think the Dangote refinery has a very big role to play in the economy and also in that sector. Now, Dangote has made series of allegations against NMDPRA. Now, what Dangote is against is why issue multiple licenses, and then when you have a refinery in-house, and why don't you strengthen or allow me to run? So what I've seen here is that Dangote refinery is being threatened, and Dangote feels that his business is being undermined by the regulators. That's on one hand. And then on the second hand, Dangote making allegations against the MD of NMDPRA. I think that allegation is something we all need to look at. And I think that's something we should work on. Public officers should be held accountable. We should know how they live their life. We should know their source of livelihood. And once you are a public officer, that invariably means that you have to live within certain parameters, certain means of livelihood. Your earnings should be made public. So on one hand, that will strengthen the system, that will make public officers to be more accountable. So for that, Dangote versus Farouk, I don't see that as something that we should be worried about. It's something that we expect our security agencies and those who are ICPC or whoever to go look at Dangote's allegation and see if it's a fact. And then we'll look at it that, okay, where is he generating his money from? And then when I also saw Dangote talking on TV, the first thing that came to my mind, I said, you see why Dangote actually need Pengassan? Because that, what he's doing now is what a Pengassan chairman or a Pengassan president who know that for his members to have their jobs, he have to also defend the company. So the symbiotic relationship between a company survivor and the union's earning capacity are all aligned. So Dangote wouldn't have been doing this, but for you to see Dangote do this himself, you will know that there is fire on the mountain. Pardon the cliche.
Now, give me an understanding. You are the man who understands the politics, the technicalities, the on-the-ground politicking that is going on within the oil and gas sector. Bet me, there's more politics being played in the oil and gas sector than is being played in mainstream politics. But beyond that, you say that Dangote may see the NMDPRA boss as a threat in his operations. Does it look like Dangote is not sufficiently supported? Like we will see the U.S. government support Elon Musk, or we will see that the billionaires in the Chinese market being supported, or the UK billionaires being supported in their businesses in the UK. Does it look like Dangote is being seen as a stepchild? Sorry to use that word. I mean, a child who lives in the backyard, or someone who is not sufficiently supported by his own government.
Yes, I don't think Dangote gets the kind of support that his peers, maybe in Europe or America, in China or India, will get. And I also think that what Dangote can also go ahead is to build what I call various alliances to survive in this environment. You just said something, the politics in the oil and gas, huge politics. Now, let's take, for example, over 40 licenses were issued to to build refineries. And I can tell you, nobody, no, outside of BOA is the only refineries that we are expecting. When I say refineries, I mean huge refineries. BOA is the next one we are expecting. The modular refinery that we have, there are very few. So in terms of investment in that sector, you are going to find out that Dangote, probably BOA, and some other, I think there's one in Edo State, and some other minor refineries that you have. So why are all those who have the licenses not building refineries? It's cheaper for you to just bring in product. So if you bring in product and you know you want to sell, you go ahead and you do what you have to do. Dangote has gone through a lot. I may not agree totally with everything he does, but you must also commend him for one thing, of keeping his eyes on the ball and being able to set up these refineries despite all the odds. Now, if you now give 40 licenses out and nobody is investing in that sector, I think it behoves Nigerian government or the regulators to support Dangote to the end. Now, you just noticed that Dangote came up. We are supposed to be paying at about 740 naira per liter of petrol, based on the current prices. But right now, we are still not paying that yet, because I read marketers, independent marketers are saying probably in the next 1 week. Why is Dangote reducing his prices? If I'm to do all the calculation, I don't think we should be paying what we are paying right now. What we are going to be paying for petrol is the cheapest, if not in the world right now. But why is Dangote doing that? Because he needs to survive, one. The license, those who have been licensed, who just brought in product, to the country, and this is also the benefit of market demand and supply. So what we have now is glut in the market, and when you have glut in the market, and Dangote knows that this glut may undermine him, and then he also need to chase those people out of the market. So Dangote brought down his price. So those guys may also find it difficult to make profit. So at the moment, Dangote is playing what I call the long road, long distance. Dangote is playing marathon. He's running marathon race in the sense that his refinery is going to be here for the next 50 years. So if he doesn't make any profit in the next 2-3 years, fine, he still have over 40 years to go to make his profit. Why those who are bringing in product are going to be facing Dangote again and again in the next 3 years before it stabilizes, and then he takes on the market.
Now, the pricing on the surface, a good thing for the Nigerian people. The average person will buy less as far as the eyes can see, and the products are available. Good thing is availability of product, and Dangote keep dragging the price down, and the price war keeps getting more intense. Dangote seems to be choking the necks of the competitors, because it's now very difficult to compete in that market. Now, it's sad to hear that Dangote in the moment may not be making the kind of profit that you expect him to be making. But what do you make about this price war and this pricing competition that we're seeing? Is it something that is sustainable? Or, what kind of politics dimension are you seeing from it?
First of all, as a consumer, we like it. As a consumer, you like it. You like to pay less. And then likely Dangote is not ready. If it continues the way it's going, Dangote is not going to make any profit in about 3, 4, 5 years. But as long as he's able to pay, to service the debt for that refinery, Dangote will be okay with that. Then for his other competitors, the options for them will be, okay, why don't you also go ahead and build refineries? Because Nigeria, the way it is, the energy security of the entire West Coast, West Africa, should be determined by Nigerians. And even at what we are paying right now is still much cheaper, far cheaper than what you pay in places like Benin Republic, Togo, or the entire West Africa. So they can still get product from Nigeria. So going forward is that Dangote is going to continue on this route, so that he chases competitors from the market. And the reason why he's doing that, it's a businessman, and that is what you expect from whether in the US.
If you were the Minister of Petroleum, which is a president, if you were him, the way a manner Dangote has raised these NMDPRA matter, and he's taking it upon himself to be the activist, the petitioner, and the man that is personally interested in the man's case, what would you be doing? What kind of action would you take?
If I'm the president of Nigeria, first thing I do is to ask security agencies to investigate. And if this investigation is going on, and it's also found out that a civil servant is paying $5 million as school fees for his children, I think that is something we should not encourage. And let me tell you, Seun, one of the things that is going to happen next year, we have a tax law that is coming up next year. And the first thing Nigerians are going to look at, you will not take 25% of my earning, and then at the end of the day, those who are holding public offices are living large. It's not going to happen. If it does happen next year, you are going to have people marching on the streets. Because the easiest way to make people turn against their government is to touch their pocket. Oh, yes, you can divide the people along ethnic lines, you can divide them along religious lines, but when it comes to taking people's money and then you are spending it in whichever way you like, you are going to have people who will either march on the street or people are going to give it to the government. So the government must tell us that they are ready for probity, they are ready for accountability in the next dispensation. But I will advise as president, let the security agencies go into this. We have ICPC who are supposed to know all of this, and at the end of the day, come up with a recommendation. And if the man is found wanting, he should resign, and the necessary actions be carried out. And if the man is not, and he also be made public, and then Alhaji Dangote will also have to apologize to him. So this is not something we should be discussing.
Yeah.
And ordinarily, it's not something we should be discussing. Ordinarily, the man will know if in a society where values are very high, society with very high moral values, if the man knows he's spending X amount of money for his children in Switzerland, by now he will resign. But if he also knows he's not doing so, he will come out and also issue a statement that this is not what he's doing.
I know the head at the ICPC is a thorough man, and I know that even without the president poking or interfering or in the matter, even without the Attorney General of the Federation saying anything, as long as a petition, I know that there would be the thoroughness that I know that man of. There will be some thoroughness put into that job. But my final question to you will be what I see today as a big problem. When you were TUC president, it was literally the Niger Delta was on his knees as far as oil production was concerned. Every day it was a capture of the environment by agitators who feel aggrieved by the activities of the operators and the IOCs. Now, the Ugbododo community, which hosts Chevron, excavers, and some oil tank farms, are aggrieved and saying they will not allow production to continue, except until some of the agitations and their pleas or their demands are met by the federal government, the IOCs and the operators in that sector. I mean, if this kind of thing is we've experienced, and thanks to the like of Yemi Osinbajo under Buhari, he was a man who kick-started this conversation of a peace in the Niger Delta, and we are benefiting from it. The present-day government is experiencing a boom in terms of oil production, and we are producing more than we have ever seen in the last 10, 15 years or so. What fear do you have the most about what we are seeing today in Ugbododo? The videos are there.
I think the first thing is we commend the federal government for what has happened in terms of production. Then the other aspect is that we also need to ask ourselves that PIA will now have a law, petroleum industry, a law that governs everything that happens in that sector. So if something is not being done properly, the first thing I will advise the community to do is get it to your local government chairman. Then you move from the local government to your state governor. Then when you move from your state governor, and then you move to the president. Because one thing people don't understand here is that the IOCs will pay whatever they have to pay according to the law. So if any IOCs is found wanting, then the reason why they are found wanting is because our government is not doing what they are supposed to do. I listened to the agitator from the Ugbododo community talking about employment. That is the responsibility of local content. The local content they are responsible to ensure that Nigerians are employed in that line. So what are those regulators doing? What are those who are in charge of that doing? So when you now have community coming out to protect this way, it's either the entire system has failed them, and that's why they're now coming out to wanting to short production. So government need to wake up to their responsibility from the local level to the state level and arrest this before things get out of hand. But while we all sleep and the system is compromised, you are going to have issues like this. That community has no other recourse than to now go ahead and want to shut down the IOCs.
Peter Esele is an energy expert and a former president of the Trade Union Congress. It's good to see you, Mr. Esele, and thank you so much for your perspectives tonight.
Thank you very much, Shehu, for having me.
I appreciate it. I mean, do you age at all, this man? This is the way I've seen you in the last 30 years. What is going on with you? You're a grandfather from what I understand. Give me the secret and I will take it. I'll learn from it.
just relax and let life take care of it.
If you have money, it's easy.
It doesn't have to do with money.
All right.
There are people who have money and they are not happy. But we give God the credit.
Thank you so much.